Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer with the Lamb Library, and on this month's episode of Saturday Science, we are studying cryptography, and that is the science of secret codes and hidden messages. And before we get started, I just want to really quickly let you know that this will be the last Saturday Science before the summer. We might pick up again in the fall and hopefully be back in person, but we'll see. But during the summer, we won't be doing our regular Saturday Science because each week there will be a different science program. The kits will be available to be picked up here at the Lamb Library, and the video program that goes with them will be able to be viewed on the main Pueblo Library Facebook page and YouTube channel. So you will have plenty of opportunities for science all summer, and those will air on Thursdays throughout June and July. And then in the fall, we will have pick back up with our monthly science program, but it might change a little bit. So keep an eye out for announcements about that. Now on to cryptography. So have you ever wanted to send hidden messages so that no one could know what you were talking about? So we're going to learn a few different methods today, and cryptography involves both science and math, and you'll see that in a little bit. So first, to do these activities, you'll need to pick up one of the kits if you haven't already from the Lamb branch. And in your kit, you'll have several things. First of all, you will have the brochure like this that briefly describes some of the activities we are going to do and the materials you need. And then on the back, it has some questions to think about, and it will tell you if you want to learn more, how to find more information. And there are also some book suggestions, and we'll talk a little bit about that at the end. So let's get started. So in your kit, in addition to the brochure, you will have these materials. You will have a white crayon. You will have a little baggie of baking soda. You will have some cotton swabs. You'll have a juice box of grape juice, some little Dixie cups, a Super Spy pen, and you will have a sheet that looks like this that we're going to use to make a decoder. And then you'll have several other sheets that have different codes. One has a substitution code and gives you a chance to practice it. Another one shows you how you can hide your message and make it look like math homework. And then we have a really cool code that looks kind of like alien hieroglyphics to me, and a Greek square code, and then instructions and pictures on assembling your decoder. We'll go over all of that, but first we're going to start with our hidden messages. So this is what uses chemistry, and the first one we're going to do, we'll use your white crayon, and then some other things you will need for these activities. You will need either a washable marker or some watercolor paint. Either one will work. And if you don't have some of these basic things like watercolors, scissors, markers, crayons, come by the Lamb Library. We got a grant so we can provide you with these great basic kits that have all your essential arts and crafts supplies that you need to do a lot of our kits with. So you can get your markers and watercolors in those if you don't have them at home. You'll need 1 or 2 paintbrushes, just a little bit of warm water, and an optional activity. You'll need a little bit of milk and an iron and an ironing board and a grown-up to do that part for you. But now we're doing our first hidden message. You'll just need a piece of paper and your white crayon, and either watercolors or a marker. Now I'm going to tilt my screen down so you can see what I'm doing. So you just take your white crayon and write whatever message you want to write. I am just going to write my name on this one. So there we go. You can see, you really can't read my message, but look what happens, and I'll show you both ways. We'll start with the marker. You take, and you'll want one of the wider markers for that, and just kind of hold it on its side and color over your message. Okay. And you kind of have to do it fairly heavy for your message to show up. And if you write your message heavy with the white crayon, it works better. Okay. I don't know if you can see that very well, but there you can make out my name, Jennifer. And we'll try with the watercolors. Okay. And so I'll get a little bit of water on my brush. And let's see, let's try red for this. And get some paint loaded on our brush. And then sweep it across. See, the watercolor paints actually work even better. And so there you can see my other not so secret message, hello. So that is a really easy way. Now, how do you think this works? Any guesses? I bet some of you have an idea. We may have done this before as an art project. It's often called resist art. So what happens is your crayon is made mostly of wax. Wax repels water or is hydrophobic. So it doesn't like water. The water doesn't stick to it. So when you use a marker with water-soluble ink or watercolor paints, since the pigment is mixed in water, it doesn't stick to the wax writing. And so that's how it shows up. So that is a really simple one to do. I'm going to set this aside. Now the next one, we'll use our baking soda and our grape juice, a swab, and 2 of our Dixie cups. So first, you can carefully squeeze just a little bit of your juice into your Dixie cup. You don't need very much, and the rest you can set aside and you can save later to do more messages, or if you just want to drink it with your snack, you can do that too. Now, our baking soda. Just pour that into the other cup. There we go. And then we're going to add a little bit of our warm water. Okay. Just a little bit because we want it to be really thick. So you can see I only added about an equal volume of water to baking soda. And stir that up. So stir that up really well, and it might not all dissolve, and it's okay because we want it nice and thick. You'll just need to stir it every so often. And now that swab's getting a little yucky, so I'm going to turn around and use the other end. So dip it in there and write your message. Okay, and you'll want to dip it in again for each letter and stir it around a little so you have plenty of the baking soda on there. So just like that. Okay. And you can see, while it's wet, you might be able to make out the letters, but I have one here that I did earlier that is already dry. And the next, we'll need another paintbrush and your little cup of grape juice. We're done with the baking soda for now. So just dip your paintbrush in the grape juice and just brush it across the page. And you see how the letters are starting to show up. You see that? Now, what do you think is going on here? I'm sure you've done experiments with baking soda and vinegar before, and you know that baking soda is basic or alkaline and vinegar is acidic. And when they mix, they react, and that's the same thing that is going on here. Because most fruit juices are fairly acidic, so they are reacting with the baking soda to make it show up. And there is our secret message to read. Now, do you think this would work with other fruit juices besides grape juice? That's something you can test out at home if you have some other juices around. So try cranberry juice, or apple juice, or orange juice, any of those. So this one is an acid-base reaction to reveal the code. So again, more chemistry. Right. Then our next one, this is optional, and because it will require supplies that we weren't able to include in the kit, and you will need a grown-up to help. But for this one, you'll need a little bit of milk and another little cup to pour it in. So we just need a little bit, so pour a little bit of milk out. And another Q-tip or a paintbrush, and just dip it in there, and again, write your message. And again, you'll want to dip it back in for every letter. And let it dry. And of course, this one, when they're wet, you can easily make out the letters, but after they're dry, you blend right into the paper. So here's the message now. You can see it says I love to read, but when it dries, you won't be able to see it. And I have one I did earlier that's all dried out. Now the way we reveal this one is with heat. Now, in the movies, a lot of the times you'll see them revealing codes just by putting it over a light bulb or a candle, or just breathing their hot breath using a hair dryer. That really doesn't work that well. You really need high heat, and this is why you need a grown-up to do this part with a very hot iron. And iron over your message with a very hot iron. So use it on an ironing board. Since I don't have an ironing board here, I put some nice thick fabric underneath to protect the table. Again, you need a grown-up to do this part because it is very hot. And we'll just let it sit there for a minute and see if it's starting to show up. Okay, this one takes a little longer. Okay, I'm going to let this sit for a minute, and I'll show you one that I did earlier. So this is one you can see the letters start to turn kind of brownish and show up. Well, what do you think is going on with this one? Well, obviously, we have high heat, so something is probably scorching or burning and changing a little bit. So in the milk, we have both the milk proteins and the milk sugar, the lactose. And so both of those get a little scorched when you apply high heat, and that makes your letters show up. And so after you do this, once your iron's cooled off, you'll want to wipe it off with a wet cloth too to get any of the milk residue off, because you won't want that getting on your clean clothes later. Okay. So we're just about there. And again, you can see it takes a lot of heat and a little time. Let's see if you can see. This one is barely showing up. It says, "I love my library." Now, for our final hidden message, again, you'll need a piece of paper and your pen. So we will open up the pen, write a message. Now, at the end of your pen, you have a little special flashlight. I'm going to turn this around and we'll shine the light on it. Oh, I don't think the camera is picking it up very well. But when you do this in person, you'll see that it's really cool. Let's see if I back off. There we go. So you can see the READING. So reading is fun. So, and in person, this shows up really well. You'll be really impressed when you see these, and these are a lot of fun. Just be sure you do not shine this light in your face or anyone else's face, because it is a UV light which can damage your eyes. So keep it down on the paper. So this has a special ink that has material in it that fluoresces under UV light. So in regular light, it's not visible, only under fluorescent light. Now, to our do-it-yourself decoder sheet. Okay, now flip this back up. Okay, so you'll cut out your 3 circles and line them up, poke a hole in the center and line them up, and then you have a little fastener up here to go through the middle. So it will look like this. So the outer wheel will be your regular alphabet. You turn it to line it up with different letters. So say, and we want to make A equal to E, and B would equal F. So this makes a substitution code, and you can make many different codes based on what your starting point is. And then again, we have our coding sheets that give you several different codes to practice with. And then finally, there will be a final project sheet where you will decode a message that tells you which of our reagents you need to use to reveal your hidden message. So there'll be 2 messages. You'll see a coded message, and then there's an invisible hidden message on the sheet. And you'll have to decode the visible message first and see whether you're going to use an acidic reagent like grape juice, or a watercolor paint, or heat to reveal, or your UV light. Now, so you can practice those and have fun with your siblings and friends. And then to learn more, you can come to the library. This is a really great book if you really want to learn more about the history of cryptography and lots of different codes. I've got some of the codes that I went over with this project came from this book, and there's a lot more. It's really interesting. And we also have books about the Native American code talkers in World War II that use their language combined with codes to keep messages hidden from the enemy. We have lots of fictional stories that involve codes or spying, like this Codebuster series or the Spy School series. And there are several more, and they are all listed on the back of your sheet. And also different areas in the nonfiction section or on Hoopla for different kinds of books about secret codes, spies, biographies of spies. So lots of interesting things. So I hope you'll have fun with this, and have a good summer, and be sure to come by and pick up our weekly kits during the summer for more science and arts and crafts. So we'll see you then, and take care and have fun with your hidden messages.